Hey, this is James from Photography Insider Info. So this is not necessarily going to be the most exciting video you've watched all day, but it could save you a lot of money. It was, I believe, the French philosopher Voltaire who said, "The perfect is the enemy of the good." And when it comes to creating passwords, that's most definitely true. Perfect passwords are long, that is at least 8 characters, preferably nearer 20. They're complicated, that means they have lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and preferably special characters in there too. There are no words or names in good passwords. There should be no pattern to them. It should be impossible to work out what your password would be from some other data. And your passwords should be different for every single website and device that you use. And also you should change them regularly, that is at least every 3 to 6 months. So that means that your passwords should look something like this. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody who uses passwords that look like this. Seriously, nobody does that. And because it's so difficult to create perfect passwords, what most people do is they use the same password for everything, which means that phishing attacks are really easy to do. Phishing attacks is that thing where you receive an email from somebody you know or you trust, and in that email it gets you to click a link and frightens you into trying to log on to a website. And you put in your email address, you put in your password, only to realize, in fact you may never realize, that actually the website you logged onto wasn't really from, say, Facebook or PayPal. It was actually a hacker's site, and now they have your email address and your password. And because everybody uses the same password for everything, it's now possible for the person that now has your password to probably log on to your bank or your PayPal and get money from you. They may be able to get into your email and use the reset facility on most websites to learn and reset your password for just about any website. They might be able to get into your iCloud or your Dropbox. They may even be able to get into your work computer system. Now, there's another way of managing passwords, and that is to use a thing called a password manager. That's a piece of computer software that creates and stores for you really complex passwords. Now, the trouble with password managers is that they're not always free. You do actually have to be near or on a computer or a phone to use them, which might sound a silly thing to say, but what if you're out and you've got very low battery on your phone and you need to log into somewhere? Well, if you don't have the power in your phone, then you may not be able to get the password you need. And then there's the issue of what happens if somebody gets the password to your password manager. Unless there's some other security built into it, you may find that they now have access to every password for every site that you ever logged into. So I'm going to show you what I do. This is a password system that is free. It's easily portable. It doesn't need batteries. Is it perfect? Actually, no, it's not perfect. Is it good? Yeah, it is actually pretty good. Remember Voltaire, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Don't rely on using the same password for everything just because you've never found a system that's perfect for you. So with my system, does it create long passwords? Yes, it does. Does it create complicated passwords? Yes, it does. Does it use words or names? No, it doesn't. It avoids that and avoids that problem. Are there any patterns to the passwords that my system generates? Well, yes, in actual fact, there is a pattern. It's difficult to guess, but there is a pattern. So I'm going to give an orange tick for that one, because my system isn't absolutely perfect. Does it create different passwords for every website and device you'll ever use? Well, again, an orange check mark for that one. It doesn't. There is a possibility you might get similar or the same password for some websites, but in fact, most of them will be different. And in my opinion, for most use, that's good enough, and it's far, far better than using the same password for everything. And with my system, is it easy to change your passwords regularly? Yes, it is. So I think, although not perfect, I have a good system for password management. To make my system work, you need 2 secrets. The first secret is a simple password, something you just keep around in your head all the time. Really, it doesn't have to be particularly long, doesn't have to be particularly complicated. So in this one, this password is an abbreviation for I love my dog 888. You'll notice with this password there's a lowercase letter. there's an uppercase letter, and there's a number. And the reason for that is with my system, you're not guaranteed to get all of those types of characters in your password. So making sure the simple password includes them all means that you won't be booted out of most password generation systems because you haven't got the requisite number of characters. So that's my first secret. I never write that down. I keep it in my head all the time. And then what I carry around with me is a card full of random letters and numbers. Now, the first one I ever used was made of literally card. It was made of paper. It got damaged very easily. So Mark II, I laminated it and it lasted for a long time. Today, I use a special printer to create my cards, and they're almost indestructible. The ink never comes off them, and they're brilliant. But don't let that put you off. Go with the paper laminated version so that you've got a better system than using the same password for everything. So how do I use my password cards? Well, it's really simple. What I do is I make a rule. What's the rule? I'm not going to tell you. It's your call what the rule is. All I would say is that the more complicated you can make your rule, the better the system will be. But if all you can remember is a really, really simple rule, that's far, far better than using the same password for everything. So let me give you an example rule. So first part of my example rule is I'm going to use my simple password, and I'm going to put it on the end of any password I make to log into a website. Then what I'm going to do is get my card out, and I'm going to look at the letters that appear in the www address. I'm going to take the first letter from the www address and look it up on the card. And then I'm going to take the third letter from the www address and I'm going to look that one up on the card. So let's say I was about to log into Facebook. The first and third letters of Facebook are F and C. So if I look at my card, I'll learn that the letters that are adjacent to F and C are these ones. That is my password for Facebook. The letters adjacent to the F, followed by the letters adjacent to the C, followed by the password I carry around in my head. And using that system, these are passwords for Instagram and Gmail and WhatsApp. All you do is you take the first and the third letters and follow exactly the same rule all the time. This is why it's easy to remember. You don't actually have to change the rule. All you do is you take the website address and you follow the same rule every time. So you're actually remembering the same thing all the time. The only thing that varies is the name of the website or the name of the place that you're logging in and the letters that appear on your card. Now, because this is not an absolutely perfect system, you've got to consider a number of things. So first thing, put a note in your diary to change your card or your rule on a regular basis. When you change your card, all of your passwords change. And so all you have to do is visit each site that you want to log into, use your old card and change it to the password that's made with your new card. If you don't want to make a new card, just change your rule. Also, something to consider is that you use a different rule or a different card for important logins, so that if anybody does ever discover your rule or your card, that it will just hamper them a little bit more. And some more things to consider. What happens if you lose your card? Well, it's not a bad idea to photograph it and keep it on your phone. As long as your phone's secure, then that will give you a little backup for your card. And remember, they need to know your rule and they need to know the password that you carry around in your head. So the card on its own isn't a great deal of use to people. You might also consider keeping a spare card in a special hiding place. And if you sealed it in an envelope, hopefully you'd know if somebody's tampered with it. So then what happens if someone finds out one of your passwords? Well, with only one of your passwords, they really can't work out what your rule is. In order to work out what your rule is, they would need a sample of passwords. They'd need 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and they'd need a copy of your card. Then you have the issue of what happens if the website address changes. Now, this does happen every now and again. The Facebook became Facebook. Hotmail.com, you now log in at live.com, not hotmail.com. So there are occasions when the rule just falls down. And the only way I've found of dealing with that is just to keep a little log. Rather than writing passwords down in a book and keeping that by your computer, you can quite safely keep this by your computer. A little spreadsheet or a little a note in a book that tells you what was the URL you originally used to sign up when you logged into, or when you first created an account. And a great advantage of recording this like this is when the day comes that you want to change all of your passwords, you know what card you used, you know what rule you used, and you can change all of the ones that use a certain card or all of the ones that use a certain rule just by going through your list of logins. So let's have a look at how you make the cards. You've probably worked this out already. It really isn't that difficult. But I'll just show you my method. What I do is I go to the program I use to create spreadsheets. Now that can be Excel or OpenOffice or Google Docs or whatever you normally use. And I just try and make a grid for my card. And what I do first is I give it a name. So I just merge and center the top column and then just give it a name. So I'm going to call this the yellow card, just to distinguish it from the others. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the letters A, B, C all the way down there. And then at the end, I'm going to put some special characters that occasionally appear in website addresses. I'm going to put a hyphen. I'm going to put an underscore. I'm going to put the tilde character, and I'm going to leave the last one blank, and that one will be a catch-all for any other characters that might occasionally be found in website addresses. Then what I'm going to do is go over to this website, random.org, and just scroll down to this free service password generator. I'm going to generate 40 passwords, and each one of 6 characters long, and click Get Passwords. There are my passwords, so I'm going to copy those, go back over to my spreadsheet and paste them in there. And then I'm going to paste them across the whole of this grid, just like that. Then I'm going to sort the column spacing out. And then I'm going to make the letters that make up the website addresses bold so they're easier to see. I'm going to arrange them right like that. And now just make that a little bit bigger. And if I get the sizing right with that, I can just adjust all of that and make it fit perfectly in a credit card size laminating pouch. I hope you found that really useful. This technique has really helped me make secure, good enough passwords for most of the situations that I find myself in. If you hate it, let me know in the comments below. If you love it, let me know as well. The whole point of this system is that it's much, much better than using the same password for everything. And it doesn't have some of the downsides of using password managers or your memory to create your passwords. Now, if you liked this video, please just pop along to the Photography Insider Info website. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then click this box here. And if you'd like to see some other great videos that I've made on the Photography Insider Info website, then click that box there. This is James. Thank you for your time.